we're seeing today is what I call turnkey totalitarianism. They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. None of them have been able to do it. They didn't have the technological capacity. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. Within 5 years, we're going to see 415,000 low-orbit satellites. Bill Gates says his 65,000 satellites alone will be able to look at every square inch of the planet 24 hours a day. Digital currency that will allow them to punish us from a distance and cut off our food supply. Every right that you have is transformed into a privilege contingent upon your obedience to arbitrary government dictates. It will make you a slave. And what do we do about this? What do? We resist. I'm going to tell you 3 rules that you all need to know and memorize. Number 1, every power that government takes from us, it will never relinquish voluntarily. Number 2, every power they take from us, they will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. Number 3, nobody in history of the planet has ever complied their way out of totalitarian control. Every capitulation is a signal to the oppressors to impose new forms of torment or torture or compliance or obedience. Every time you comply, you get weaker. Bullies cannot be appeased. It just encourages them to new forms of torture and torment. Every time you say yes, you're getting pushed back to a weaker position. That's why we need to resist.
First of all, I cannot express the amount of relief that I feel hearing someone in our current administration speaking like this. But when you look at the actions our president is currently taking, I can't help but to feel like he's literally building out all the systems that will one day be weaponized against us. However, even if he's being extremely short-sighted and just genuinely thinking right now that since he's the one in charge, these things won't be abused, as we see how the people in the UK are reacting to this digital ID stuff, these elites may actually start to pull back on their game plan a little bit. People aren't standing for it, and that became pretty obvious right out of the gate. There's not going to be the required level of compliance necessary for them to pull this off unless they start forcing people to enroll at gunpoint.
Did you see the news? 3-Eye Atlas, a giant UFO heading towards the Earth. Right on Hallows Eve, we'll see it pass by or come here, now measuring in at 33 billion tons. Oh, by the way, it's a UFO carrying a shark over the ocean. 33 billion tons. I wonder why in the world we keep seeing that number everywhere. 33 hours after the main event, they were able to catch the supposed suspect. Not too long ago, the money with the Fed was like 33 billion. I mean, look at this. All these 33s. And completely unrelated, 1000%, this was just seen in the sky again last night in California. We're seeing this every single week. Just meteors, though. And then now, of all numbers, 33 billion tons. While this Atlas story does not go away, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And guess what? So besides all the alien programming we've been seeing in decades, but also the last few months, all these space ventures and Space Force, these right here are FOIA request military patches. What's that doing there? What's that doing there? Don't be deceived. We have known that this was coming. This was just seen in Europe. And they're going to claim to be our makers. a lot of spiritual wickedness in high places.
The branch of the terrible ones shall be brought low. Strong's 861-84 reads.
So they're reporting that this thing weighs 33 billion tons now. And I'm assuming that, like me, most of you immediately thought, how did they come to this conclusion? According to their new research, they've calculated the size of this thing to have a roughly 3.1 mile radius. And it apparently has the largest comet nucleus ever seen at 80 miles across. But how does that tell them that it weighs 33 billion tons? They don't have a clue what material it's made out of. A 3 mile long, 20-foot pile of volcanic rock is not going to weigh the same amount as a 3 mile long 20-foot pile of granite. There's so many guesses going on here, it's getting comical. One thing that I am noticing though, as I'm digging through these new reports, is that a lot of scientists are pushing back on the idea of this being something alien. So I don't know if they're finally realizing that the public is just not buying this, so they're pulling back on their narrative or what. But it's certainly getting close to time to find out what's actually going on with this thing. But honestly, ever since that compilation of 33 confirmed cases in this county, 33 confirmed cases in that county during the COVID pandemic, anytime I see them using the number 33 in a headline, I just immediately assume that the entire article is bull. Hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to drop your theories and your comments in the comment section down below.
Res 31078, cannibalism. Might seem kind of gruesome, it kind of is. I'm going to give you a little background of what got me to this position to run this bill. Back in 2019, I heard that Washington State was starting to do composting, and that disturbed me. I wanted to address this because what I didn't want to see is bags of compost with bone fragments. I want to stop it getting into the human food supply. I was on a plane this summer, watched a video of some food show, and the three contestants tasted the food and they had to guess what was in it. It was some kind of a sausage, and one of the options they told these people that was in the food was the way our society's going and the direction we're going, this is going to be normalized. There's only one state in the union that it is illegal, cannibalism is illegal, and that is Idaho. Already illegal for someone to do it themselves, but it is not illegal for them to give it to somebody unknowingly. So what that language does is captures it getting into the food sources. That's really my concern.
Would you want to include on line 11 bones and organs?
I do believe would cover the organs. Hopefully we don't ever have to add bones to this. But I was doing that incrementalism thing. I mean, if it's not even illegal to feed it to someone, so I was thinking like maybe next year we come back and go the next step.
Only one state in the entire U.S. even makes this illegal? I looked into that because I thought surely that can't be true. But sure enough, Idaho is the only state with a specific state law banning it. But it's only punishable by up to 14 years in prison. From what I could find though, the only reason that they're claiming there are no laws on the books for this specific thing is that basically the only way a person could find themselves in a situation where this was even a possibility for them, at that point they've probably broken so many other laws that charging them with this wouldn't even be necessary. Like for example, there are clearly laws against murder in every state, as well as every state has laws about what can and cannot be done with a body once it's passed. But with all these new articles that we've been seeing pop up lately that are talking about this is the new humane way to save the planet, it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of money being put into this idea for some reason. I just can't believe there aren't any laws on the books forcing companies to notify their consumers if they're putting this in their products. That should have been on the books since the founding of our country. That's disgusting.
You will get a digital ID. You have no choice. But what if we do? Imagine if the whole of the UK decided not to sign up to the mandatory digital ID. Here's what would happen in the first 30 days. And by day 30, that's when the story really begins. Day 1, the rollout begins and nobody signs up. Millions are expected overnight, but online portals, they're empty, mate. The press call it a national act of defiance, and the government are just sitting there looking shocked. Day 2 to 4, system stalls, but people start to adapt. Pharmacies go off book, doctors start handwriting notes, employers pay cash in hand. On the ground, Life goes on, just not in the way Labour planned it. Day 5 to 7. Benefits freeze, universal credit, pension, child support, but communities rally. Church halls, mosque, community centres turn into aid hubs. The state may hold the money, but people take care of their own. Day 8 to 12, the media splits. The Mirror and the Independent call it sabotage, but independent outlets call it for what it really is. A proper strike, mate. Here goes Keir Starmer on the news saying, parents should be thinking about their children. But to the public, that man just sounds desperate. Day 13 to 17, flights cancelled, Brits can't travel because their passport's invalid without a digital upgrade. Tourism collapses, airlines bleed, and the pound dips. Foreign commentators start paying attention, asking, are the UK boycotting their own government? Day 18 to 21, hospital strain. Appointments carry on, but surgeries and prescriptions start to back up. But doctors and nurses are on this thing too, so they start whispering about breaking some rules. Here comes Starmer again. This is reckless, this is dangerous. Ain't that what we're trying to tell you? Day 22 to 25, cash in hand spreads. Employers, landlords, shops, they all start leaning off the book. Official trade slows, the underground network grows, and the public keep moving even though the government are looking real stuck right now. Day 26 to 29, Parliament fractures as protests surge. Labour MPs face a social blackout. No one will talk to them, no shop will serve them, not even a handshake. Thank Ireland for this one. Day 30, a full month in, the refusal holds. System stalled, the economy bleeding, and the government cut off by the people. And the whole world sits waiting and watching. Who will break first? Turns out making digital IDs mandatory wasn't a strength, it was a weakness. And the whole system collapses the moment people stop playing along.
This is literally the only way to stop this. Everyone should know these federal governments are just regular people like me and you who we've elected to put in charge in order to take care of our needs. They're not supposed to be elitists taking control of the population. All of these politicians need a massive reality check. And I have a feeling that they're about to force the populations of the world to give them what's become long overdue. But the only thing I see wrong with this narrative this guy just laid out is the use of cash for payments. Looking into the numbers, even if there was no hoarding of cash going on, even if there was no large sums of money locked away in bank vaults, no money locked up in ATMs, and none of the UK's physical notes were being held overseas, it's estimated that there's only about $100 billion of physical currency circulating in the UK. Now divide that by their current population of 67 million people. That only gives them an average of 1,500 pounds or roughly $2,000 per person in order to pull this off. I don't know that it's feasible, but it's certainly better than the alternative.
One day, while the mother is looking after some of the kids at the center, one of them suddenly gets frightened and ends up scaring the rest of them. But this isn't the only strange thing that her security camera managed to capture at this time. What happens next left her utterly terrified. Watch closely.
Did you do that? Were you in there? Were you in there?
No.
Who knocked this over? Who knocked this over?
Maybe it was just air. Yeah, what was it done? Good. Well, I could have said,
the boy can be seen completely spooked by something in the other room. Then seconds later, when the woman goes inside to check it out, the big playhouse suddenly falls over all on its own, even though there aren't any children touching it or near it. Nobody had been able to explain what was going on, but after uploading the video, someone noticed something that makes this video all the more creepy. A pair of hands can be seen at the top of the room holding on above the outside of the door frame, before slowly retracting back into the room, right as the boy panics and runs out of it. After noticing all this, the daycare owner's daughter makes an update video explaining the situation.
Just wanted to quickly show you exactly what it was that was scaring the little kid that my mom was watching. So pretty much the house, and obviously you guys saw that it fell, but the other thing I wanted to point out was that it's pretty hefty, so it really doesn't make any sense that it would just fall on its own like that. This is the room. The crazy thing about this is that there was like markings at the top of the entranceway of like the doorway, and I guess in the video you can see hands gripping onto the doorway. I don't really know what to make of that. I thought at first that it was like bugs or something like that, but it looked almost like two hands like gripping on the top, like leading into this room, just like. But the main thing, and the reason that the little boy was screaming, is actually in here. We have this covered up for a reason. Apparently, the little boy told my mom that he saw a face in these mirrors. We already found someone who's going to take it off our hands and pick it up off Facebook Marketplace.
After questioning the boy, they found out that he screamed because he had seen a face in the vanity mirror, even though he was the only one in the room at the time. Ever since then, they have covered the mirror up with a sheet to avoid any of the kids getting scared again. They also decide to leave the child safety gate closed until the buyer from Facebook Marketplace comes to take the mirror off their hands. However, a few nights later, the daughter of the daycare notices the child safety gate opening all on its own through the security camera, so she decides to go and check it out.
That's f***ing creepy. Do it again. Like, yeah, okay. Do it again. I'll wait. Do it again. Open the gate.
As she waits for the safety gate to open again, the sheet on the mirror suddenly pokes out by itself, catching her attention. Then, when she focuses on the sheet covering the mirror, she notices something even more terrifying. As she gets a little bit closer, what looks like indents of fingers can be seen pressing up against the cover, slowly getting clearer, which instantly scares the girl out of the room. And as we saw earlier, the only thing under the covers was the mirror itself up against the wall, which doesn't have any moving mechanisms, so nothing should move. But something clearly does. Now, after witnessing this horror for herself, she has now locked the door completely and shut the safety gate until the buyer comes to collect the mirror.
Today's video is episode 466, and that is by far the most realistic paranormal video I've come across yet. You just don't get little kids to go along with your fake ghost video like that. And I'm still not convinced that I even believe in ghosts or lingering spirits in the sense of, oh, my cousin Jenny died a couple years ago and now I see her in the bathroom from time to time. But I 100% believe in demonic entities trying to torment us. And anything that decides to show itself like that by scaring the living daylights out of an innocent young child definitely falls in the category of demonic. What are y'all's thoughts though? This one has me convinced. I'd be demolishing that little vanity. She needs to see if that thing has a history behind it. I know daycares need to save money just like everybody else, so there's a good possibility that they got that thing used off of Facebook Marketplace themselves. I'd be contacting the original seller with a list of questions.
All new at 10, there is a mysterious underground hazard St. Louis leaders don't want you to know about.
Yeah, it's underneath some of our busiest sidewalks where Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes reveals the secret leaders don't want out.
It's right under where I'm walking here on Washington Avenue. You can't see it, but I'm walking right now on a secret underground room with a glass ceiling.
There's some serious risk downtown that's not only just been ignored, but really covered up.
Derek Langen-Eckert knows because he fell down this hole when the sidewalk collapsed.
All of a sudden, I was in this huge cavern, right there. It was almost kind of surreal, looking up at that hole.
It was 2017 during the Rise Up Beer Festival. The street was closed. You can see the sidewalks behind the booths were used for heavy equipment, like a generator, and the forklift Langen-Eckert was driving that day to move beer.
And this was the third time that day I drove the forklift up to our booth. Turned around, was coming back, and there was a little girl and her mom, walking in front of me. So I stopped for a minute. I just can't imagine that little girl and her mom, they're standing 10 feet away from me, right there. The kegs shot in the air, they exploded.
Despite breaking his back, Langen-Eckert is doing well today. He owns Alpha Brewing Company near Tower Grove Park. His business is growing, but the hole he fell through still remains, covered with plywood and surrounded by a fence. Even more surprising, he discovered through his lawsuit against the city there are more hidden rooms all the way down Washington Avenue.
You don't walk on a sidewalk thinking that it's a suspended bridge. It just wouldn't cross your mind.
Court records show these pictures taken inside the room he fell into. You can see the ceiling in the hidden basement room is made of block glass, made that way in the early 1900s so shopkeepers could use the natural light. You can see the more than 100 years of corrosion and the thin layer of concrete laid right over it. Fox 2 got access to another example, this hidden room under a sidewalk near 14th and Washington. Court records show a construction company in 2001 looked into filling 15 hidden basements. When the city apparently took no action, an engineer wrote this letter addressed to Otis Williams, who then headed the St. Louis Development Corporation, or FLDC. It says, "We were directed not to contact any building owners for further investigation or correspondence as to the conditions, responsibilities, or liabilities related to the basement extensions. There was to be no publicity related to the basement extensions. There was to be no publicity related to any potential problems or adverse issues."
I just thought that was really interesting. If they've got these secret hidden buried rooms all over this city, what are the odds that they don't also have them in other cities as well? Infrastructure development goes through trends just like anything else. They probably have these hidden rooms with tunnels and stuff connecting everything all over the country. But I'll let y'all decide what you think they're being used for. But clearly they hold some sort of importance or significance to these lawmakers, or they wouldn't be so adamant about leaving them alone and keeping the knowledge of them under lock and key. And there's a lot of shady stuff being exposed about our government officials right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this somehow ties into all that. But the people that live there need to demand answers as to why the local government doesn't want this filled in, especially if it's causing injury to locals. And it would probably be much cheaper to just fill these in with cement than it would be for them to continue to pay out settlement on top of settlement from all the people that live there falling into these holes. Although, from what I found online, that guy that was in this news report did try to sue the city, and they just dismissed his lawsuit. But I also found that the guy who owns the building that's attached to that, the guy who's technically legally responsible for it. He got charged by the DOJ in September of 2024 for federal wire fraud, but for some unknown reason, they just dropped the charges in August of this year. Sounds to me like something shady's going on there. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to leave your theories and your comments in the comment section down below. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.